Hi, it's already 10 a.m. Let's get started. So hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar on how to create custom maps in VRT. And first I would like to thank you guys, all for taking your time and joining us today. Before we started, I guess I just muted all your microphones. So if anyone who just joined us, please mute your microphone because I'm gonna just make sure everyone will be able to hear me clearly during my presentation, because we do have a lot of contents to go through during this webinar, and also we're gonna record today's webinar. So later on, when you guys decide to give it a try, work on your own creations in VRT, even though by the time if you don't remember anything about what I'm gonna talking about today, but you will still be able to go to our YouTube channel and find this webinar, and then you can watch it while you're creating your own maps in VRT. So please don't worry about anything, like if you miss anything during this webinar. And today's webinar, I'm going to divide it into two sessions. So the first session, I'm going to show you two ways of creating a custom maps in VRT. So there's one simpler way in, just editing the existing maps in a VRT project. Another is build a competition table at the direction lines, build walls and everything, from scratch. And then we will have a Q&A session in the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send them via messages. I will address all your questions, one by one. So let's dive right into it. So what you see here is our default user interface. So it's like a two-panel screen. The top one is Virtual Robotics Toolkit. That's our simulator. And then the bottom one is Lego Mindstone programming language, like the software. Since today we're going to only focus on creating maps in VRT, we will not use the Lego software at all. So what you can do is hop your cursor up, move up to the top center position, and then you will see a simple toolbar there. Simply press VRT, and then you will be able to remove the other window. So now you are inside in VRT. So this is the welcome screen. What you see here is a welcome screen of our software, and then these are the 4 tabs. And so at the bottom, these are a bunch of VRT projects that's available. Okay. For you guys to explore later. For anyone who just joined us, would you please mute your microphone because we are recording this seminar? Thank you. Okay, so so if you're new to VRT, we do have another webinar that's available in our YouTube channel, which is hosted by Priyanka. Please check that out, because I will not go through all these projects today, because our goal today is to show you how to create maps in VRT, right? And okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a Sandbox as an example and show you to do it. So what I'm going to do here is simply click Sandbox, and then there's a window ask you to rename your project. You can choose to rename it or not. I'm gonna continue using the Sandbox name here, and then just press OK. And then there's another window asking you whether you continue where you left off, or if you choose no, gonna overwrite the saved project, which means if you press yes, we'll continue your work, which you have, like whatever you have added before. So everything that is saved in the previous project. And then if you press no, which means you're gonna, open a brand new project. So I'm gonna press no here. Now the VRT is loading the environment. Okay. So what you see here is our Sandbox project. I'm going to get rid of the EV3, virtual EV3 bird, because we will not use it today. And then this is the Sandbox project, right? And then we are still in the simple mode, but we do need to find the tool that help us build map today, which is like these two are not available in the simple mode. So what you need to do next is press F12. If you are a Mac user, I believe that's the function key and F12. So these are the shortcut keys, and that gonna help you navigate from simple mode to the advanced mode. So simply F12 or function key F12. So what you see here, now we are inside the advanced mode, right? So what you see here is a much larger toolbar with lots of buttons here. This is our old user interface. If you're an old VRT, like our old VRT user will recognize it right away. And don't feel intimidated because there are lots of buttons on the larger toolbar. We're gonna only use 3. So I show you which these are. So the first one we're gonna use is the objects list. So what it does is you're gonna open another window called objects window. So the objects window basically, basically it lists all the objects in this VRT project. So you can see here there are 3 Lego cubes sitting on the mat, and then there's a EV3 educator robot. There's a sandbox. So sandbox, basically that's the environment, right? So if you expand it, you'll find what's inside. So we have a direction light. So if you zoom out, and then you can see that direction light, and then we have the floor. So that's where the robot is sitting on right now. And then we have the playground. That's part of the environment. And then we have a robot spawn point. So the spawn point is basically when you press the stop button, and then that's gonna reset the robot, and then the robot gonna reposition and gonna show up in this position. And then we have 4 walls. So that's part of the sandbox competition table, right? Okay. So, and then since I mentioned about 3 buttons, right? So then the next one we're going to use is the object library. So let me open it. So the object library, it has all the maps and robots available in VRT. So if you look at here, so there are a bunch of FL projects and then also Java projects since 2016. So these are the projects I created. If you expand each one, you'll find a robot there and also the map there. So that's the reason why we call it a library. So pretty much have all the resources that's available in VRT. And then the last window we're going to use is if you press here, the object property windows, properties button, it's going to bring you up this window. So this window, object properties window. So if you select anything, let's say we select the robot, and what you see here, it has all the information about the robot's position, rotation, and then its size, the rigid body where you can find the robot's mass. So these are physical properties. So and any other stuff like motors, right? And then all these ports, sensor ports and motor ports. So so these are just like a brief introduction of what these windows are. So these are the tools we're going to use today, right? So let's start by customizing our environment first. So what we can do first is let's go to environment and then environment settings. Okay, so in the environment settings, you can find there are 2 things here. So the first one is physics. You can find the gravities. You can play with the gravity numbers, and if you want your robot flying like astronaut, in the space, and then these are the numbers you can play with. But we're gonna change another thing here as if you go to environment, find the skybox material. So the skybox material we use for this project is called Clean Road to School. So that's the skybox material we created specifically, if I remember correctly, it's for Java 2016. So that's the name of the Java 2016 elementary challenge, right? So what is this? This is the background you see here. So if you want to remove that background, so what you can do here is find this skybox material, and then there's a 3 dot, like a button with 3 dots on it. You press that, and then get rid of it by choosing none, right? And then press OK, and then save all the changes. Press OK again. So now the skybox material is just disappeared. And then if you expand the sandbox, disable the playground, select the playground, right click, and then choose disable. When you left here, you see here, it's just a competition table with a robot sitting on it. So if anyone is familiar with other VRT projects, so that's the environment for the FL or the FL projects and then double projects. So that's how you get it here, right? So if you change it back, if you want your project, add want a different skybox material, like, and then you can go to the same place under environment settings, right? Change it back. I'm gonna choose that clean road to school skybox again. Okay, so you can add it. So now it's here, and then enable, right click, enable that. Okay, so that's how you can customize the environment. Okay, then I'm going to show you how to edit the existing map. Let's first find out where that map is added to. Okay, so I believe it's here, the floor. If you go to Objects Property window here, again, we bring it up. There are 3 tabs: transformation, right? So that's the about the position. You can find the map's position, rotation, and then its size. These are the size of the map. And then we have collider added, and also a texture. So that's the texture is what we are looking for. So that's the map we added to the floor. And then what you can do here is press the pencil button here at the corner, and then press it. You're going to bring up another window called Edit Material window, right? So, and then these are the options you can, you can play with, to edit the material. So first we have color here. So if you press it, just click the empty space. Basically, this is a white color. And then you can choose the other, like, different color here, and then press OK and save all the changes. But do keep in mind that the color you're going to use is going to apply to that whole map. So I just show you. So I just changed the right color, right? So if I press OK and OK, right? So that red color applied to the whole map. So that's not what we wanted, right? Just give you an idea. So unless you have an empty, like an object doesn't have a texture on it, and then these are number, and then you have one a white or a different color, then you can, something that you can use here. I'm going to change it back. So the color, okay, so that's the white color. And then here you can see there's a texture. This is the texture we added, right? So simply click the image. It will bring up another window. It's called texture selection window. So this is the color. In the preview window, you can see this is the maps we added. At the bottom, so this screen at the bottom, there is a browser button. So if you press it, you can find the texture you want to use. This is the texture I want to use. Simply, select the texture here and then press open. It gets loaded in our preview window. So if you don't have your own texture, and then we do have a bunch of different maps available in VRT, you can try select each map and just simply apply. I just select this one. I just loaded this one. This is the one we're going to use today, and then press apply. Okay, and apply. And press OK to save the changes. So just let's take a quick look. Something does not look quite right here, right? So I just show you what's the image like. So when I open the image, see our logo is sitting on the top, right? So this is what's supposed to be like, and then this is not quite there. So we need to change something. So if you press that pencil button again, and then what we're gonna do here, so basically what you are looking at is like the mat is placed upside down, and also I think, sorry about that, I need to mute. And just go through, make sure everyone is muted. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what you see here is a mat placed upside down, and then it's also a mirrored image, right? So what you can do here is, let's check the scale. So now the scale is set it to 1, 1, 1, 1. You simply just change one letter. Instead of 1, 1, you set it to 1 minus 1. And then press apply. Press OK, and then let's get a top view. Now it's right. So now this is the mat. I'm so sorry. So anyone who just joined us, would you please mute your microphone? Thank you. Okay, now this is the mat we want, right? Just one thing you need to keep in mind when you import your own mat. So any mat that has a letter or black line on it, so when you zoom in, so if you have like just loaded imported a small image, when you zoom in, you'll find the letters. If it's too small, the image, you'll find the letters and black line get pixelated. So that's not what you want. You do want to import a good quality, good quality image. So, but you don't want that image too big. Gets too big. Otherwise, you're going to have issue importing that. So it will never get loaded. So just give you an idea how big the image size should be. So let me right click and find the properties of this image I imported. So this is a property, and then this is the size. So this is the size of the image I use. So most image I use is around, like 300 KB or 500 KB, to the maximum I use will be less than 2 MB. And then if you go to the details, you'll find the dimensions of the image I use here. If you have, let's say the pixel is like 50,000 by 50,000, that's too big. You may end up having a big image size like 50 MB or 20 something. 20 MB, you will never be able to import that into VRT. So that's something we need to keep an eye on when we import an image. So now we have a mat, with a different image, like with we have a mat competition table, like with a different mat on it. So that's one thing. It's an easier way to create your own mat, just editing the existing mat in a VRT project. Then I'm going to show you how to build one from scratch. Okay, now we're going to use the library. So just, this book button here is the library. And then let's go to primitives. So these are the, so it has a list of different shaped objects that you can use. You can either choose plan. So if you just select it and then drag it to the environment, see it's a plan. You can use it as a floor, but most of the time just use cube. So if you zoom out, this is a big one, right? So this is a big cube. So this is 1 meter by 1 meter. I'm gonna manipulate, like change the size of the cube and turn it into a plane. But first I need to show you something else, right? So if I zoom out, what you see here, so everything in the background, that's the skybox I mentioned before, right? It's just a skybox. And see the playground and then the mat. It's there, sitting in the air. It's not like sitting somewhere. So they're basically floating there. If I move turn the simulator on, you see the cube fell done. So that's not what we want. We just want, if we're going to turn this cube into a plane and use it as floor, we just want it stay where it needs to be, right? So we don't want it get gravity has an effect on it. So what you can do here is there are two ways to do it. So let's change the name first. Okay, let's say I can turn it into a floor. So I just change, okay. Rename as a floor. So there are two ways. So you either go to in the objects property window, expand the rigid body, you turn the kinematic on. So just give you an idea of what is rigid body. So what rigid body is a property which when you add it to any object allows it to interact with a different, like a lot of fundamental physics behavior like forces, including gravity, right? So I just show you when I turn the simulator on, the cube fell down, right? So when you turn the kinematic on, which means all the forces collision, including gravity, will not affect that object anymore. So if I turn it on and start simulation again, see it just stay where it is. So that's one way you can do it. So there's another way, simply just right click and then remove rigid body. Let's find remove and get rid of the rigid body. And that's it. Okay, let's turn the simulation again. See, it just stay where it needs to be. Next, we're going to change the size of this cube. So our sandbox, the default sandbox, the size is 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter, right? So, and this cube is 1 meter by 1 meter. So if you look at here, so it's 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Now, if you check the scale, so the scale is like scale 1 if the scale is 1, which means it's 1 meter. So instead of change the dimensions, we're going to only change the scale. So if I want a 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter floor, so I'm going to do is I'm going to change the x, increase that number from 1 to 1.5, and then that 1.5. But how do I know, right? Like which number? Like you probably have a question like, how do I know which one is x and which axis is that, right? So just give you an idea. So if let's take a look at this cube. So this green one, the green axis is y, and then the blue one is z axis, and then that yellow one is any axis that you selected. So if you select the green one, like the y-axis, it turns yellow, right? So if I select the blue one, it turns yellow, right? So this red one is the axis, right? So another way to find it out, you simply, if you check the position, right? If I drag it, I just drag the red one, see which number is changing, the x, right? So this x value. So that's how you find out which one is which one is which axis, right? So we just changed the length. We also changed the width. Now what's left is the height. So I'm gonna change the height to 5 millimeters. Okay, so now we have a plane. So I simply just place it, drag it down. Okay, so place it on top of the playground. So that's our plan. So that's our floor. And then the next step you can choose to is skip it. The reason why I'm saying that is if we check the default mat here, see the floor is made of two parts, right? So there's a top floor, so that's where the mat is added to, right? And then we have a bottom one. But why we have a bottom one? So if we check the bottom mat here, and then let me disable it. See, you can see the mat. So which means the texture gets applied to the object. It's not just the top part, the top side. So it's got applied to the top, bottom, the left, right, and then the front and back. So it's basically the all sizes. So what we did is I just add another plane at the bottom just to hide it. So make it beautiful. So if you don't mind it, so you can, that's really one side. If you don't mind it at all, like the bottom has the texture on it, and then you can escape, skip this step. So, but also this step is quite easy since you already have a plan, right? So you can just, copy paste, Control C and Control V. See, another floor showed up here, and then we just make, and then simply drag it and then place it at the bottom. Just make sure one sits right on top of the other. So I'm gonna change the camera view a little bit. Check the back view. You can also check the left view or right view. Doesn't matter. So now they're in the same position, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag one. Just make sure it's right beneath the other one, the other floor. So the bottom one, I'm gonna rename it. You can, rename anything, but I just, like name it as mat. So now we have two planes, right? Two objects. But when you drag, since they are separate objects, so if you drag one, so let's say if you drag one, the other will stay where it is, right? But let's say if you want to move the competition table later on, like to somewhere else, you want to make sure everything moved. You just select one thing and then move the whole competition table, right? So the whole thing, instead of, like one floor here and then another mat is another object that covers the texture is end up in a different place. The wall end up in one place. So what I'm gonna do here is you can select the mat, keep pressing, just drag it. Once the floor gets highlighted and release, just drag it when drag it in place on top of the floor. When the floor gets highlighted, just stop pressing, stop pressing the left button here on your mouse, right? So now what I did is, so now what I did is just now turn the mat is nested under floor, so as a child object. So now you drag two things, drag one thing, two of them gonna move together. So basically it's just merged two objects as one. One is a parent object, one is a child object. Okay, so that is our floor. So basically it's halfway done. We are halfway done here. We have the floor. And next, let's add the texture. So the texture, I just show you how to add it. So you can just go to material, right? And then press the pencil button, place the texture, add the texture here. But there's one important thing, because that's a mistake I made a couple of times. I also want to you avoid it, because this here you see it's a default material that is shared by all the objects in the library. So if you add it, this diffused material here, let's add a color, apply. See, since it's a shared material, so all the objects that use that same material gonna turn red, right? So any object that you drag from the library, a pyramid, it's red. It's red. So that's not what I wanted. So what we're gonna do here is Let's change it back. Okay, so change the color back. Okay, here. So you need to, what you need to do, and also important step is let's remove it at a different material. So you just press minus button, get rid of it, and then press the plus button. So add another, template where you can add your material and make all the changes. So in that way, anyone who use that shared material will stay the way it is. So it can take a few minutes because we do have a lot of materials available in VRT. So now we have a material window here. There are a couple of templates that you can choose from, and the one we're going to choose is always choose the standard and specular setup, the second one, and then add. So this is a new material we add. It's more like a canvas, right? If you want to paint something or you need a piece of paper so that you can draw something. So that's the template. Something we will work with. And then you press pencil button again. Let's import the image again. Let's find the image. So now we don't have any image here, but you can simply select the empty space here. And then like the same step, you can either browse it because we just loaded this one, right? This image. So you can find it at the very bottom here. And also, if you by accident select again, you will get another window saying, oh, this image has already existed in the project, so you don't need to select it again, right? You can just find it at the very bottom of the list of the textures available in VRT. So that's the list. Apply, okay, and don't forget to set the scale to 1-1. Apply. Okay. So now we have our mat, the floor. Okay, next step. Next, we're gonna add walls, like 4 walls, to the mat. But in this project, you can choose not to because we have a playground here, right? So the robot can actually drive on the playground. So just show you. I can drag the robot here and start. See, I can drive it. The reason why we add walls for the other competition, even this one, if you don't have a playground, let's disable it. Okay, I just change the position. Okay, so the walls are there. It's just to prevent the robot falling off the mat. So if you don't mind at all, so that's part of your competition rules, then you don't need to add the walls at all. And also, if you don't mind, and sometimes you don't mind, you want the robot to have a chance, play in the playground, so you can stop right here. So that's your mat. Let's say in case you need them, and I'll show you how to add the walls. It's the same, the same steps. Basically, find the cube and drag it to the environment, zoom out and find it, right? And let's rename the object as wall 1 and select wall 1, right click, remove rigid body. Let's change its size. Let's change its size to 1.9. Okay, right now I'm just play this, change the camera view again. And 5, keep changing. And then make it 104. And then the height, I'm gonna make it like 10 centimeters. And then what you need to do is simply drag it. Let's get right here. Let's get the top view. Okay, sure. Think so. So we have our wall here. And then what's next? One, just make sure I change the camera view again. So again, just make sure the wall is on the same level of the floor. So they are on the same level. Now we have one. Let's copy paste it. Control C and Control V, get another one. And then drag it to the other side. Okay. And then let's create another wall. Here, drag another cube. Zoom out. Rename it wall 2. And remove it. Remove the rigid body, right click. And drag it down. And change the size. And then change the height. Centimeter. 10 centimeter. And then drag it. Okay. So this is another wall we just created. And then what you can do here is, let's find the previous two walls we created, and then just copy paste the position, so the y value where that is. Just make sure everything is on the same level, and then copy that value and paste it here. See that? So now they're on the same level. So that's another wall we wanted. But you notice this wall is a little bit different than the one in the default one, because this wall is apparently longer and cover the two ends. So what you can do, you can either create it this way, or you can make it a little bit longer. So turning it to, instead of 1.5 meter, you can turn it 1.58. So make it look longer. In that way, we're gonna cover both ends. Okay. And then let's copy paste it and Control C and Control V, and then drag to the other side. Okay. Then we rename it. So that is Wolf 4, and then this Wolf 1, and then this let's name Wolf 3. Oh, that is another map we just created, right? So it has a 4 and then 4 walls. So what's next? So next, what you need to do here is let's select the floor again and right click, add new actor as a parent. So we call it Sandbox 2. So that's the other competition table we just created. And then select, so you can select one and press shift button and select 4. Just make sure you select all the walls and simply drag them to the Sandbox 2 project. Now they're nested under Sandbox 2, right? So they're a child objects of Sandbox 2. In that way, when you drag it, you move your competition table, everything gonna move together. So what's now you have a brand new competition. What's left is add a light. So let's disable this one. Disable the light, the direction I added to the default mat, and then go to environment, add light, choose directional light here. So and then the light just showed up in the coordinates of 0, 0, right? So that's where our default map located. So let's simply drag it. You can see here, drag it to the new map we just created. You can see here the light is, the direction is not what we wanted. So now the light is the direction is like facing the wall. So what we can do here is go to the object properties and find orientation and change the direction of the light. So we want the light to rotate along this x-axis. So in that way, the mat gonna light up. So let's rotate it 90 degrees. See? And then we also want to place the mats, up a little bit. You either can drag it, move it up, or you can, place, enter the number, any number you want it. So in terms of the height, like let's say 5 meters. So that's where you position your light. Okay, so now we have 2 mats, right? So 2 mats. If this is something you want to share with your students or anyone who you would like to share, what you can do is just simply save your project. Let's do save as. I can save it or save as on desktop demo project and save it. Now it's saving our project. Okay, now it's saved, and then I can close it. Let's find your project. So this is a project we just saved, right? So this one we added, and then there are 2 mats inside. Oh, let's open it. So before you zip it and then share it, send it to your friends or anyone who you would like to share the project with, you can delete. Just let you know this is like a redundant folder, so it's a robot folder. What you can do, so that robot folder gets generated every time you open this project. So you can delete it or not. if you have issue opening it, that's the robot folder. You need to delete it and then try again. So let me delete it. Like I said, you're going to generate it. It will not affect anything. And then let's open the, you simply, so that's the project you're going to send. Right click, you can zip it and then send the zip file to anyone else. Let's open it and see if all the changes are saved. See if there are 2 competition tables are inside. So I just now it's loading. Okay, so see that's the project we just saved. 2 competition tables and then 1 robot. Okay, now I think that's pretty much everything.
Ruby, I just would like to mention one quick thing. If you when you are sharing that, if you want to share your mat with others, if you'll share only the RS prod file and not the whole folder,
Yeah,
no one is going to be able to open it. You cannot just share the last file and not the whole thing. So you have to share the whole folder with subfolders and the RS prod file in order to let your students access it.
Yeah, so Priyanka mentioned about this file. You cannot just copy this one single file. Like I mentioned before, you can delete the robot folder. See, when I loaded the project again, this robot folder gets generated. So that's a redundant file you can get rid of before you zip it. This is a file, the whole folder you need to share. You need to zip it and then send this whole thing instead of that one single file. Okay.
Okay, Ruby, there is one question in the chat. If there is anyone else who has questions, they can also type it in the chat.
Yeah, it's time. So if you have any questions, it's time to send all your questions via messages, and then I just go through them one by one. Unearth mat and no mat. Okay. So can I set a different? Yes, you can. So if you right now we are still in a simple mode. I just press F12 or function key F12 and then let's find environment, right? So if you go to environment settings, so that's the physics, that's the gravity numbers that you can play with.
But can we change it for different mats? Like could we have like for one mat set to Earth and another one set to Moon?
If you know that gravity, yes, these are the numbers you can change, but you can in the end you will have like different VRT projects, right? So it's one for the Earth mat. Yeah, so each mat, so one for Earth mat, one for the Moon mat, and then each one has a different gravity. So
yeah, one project can have only one type of gravity, no matter how many mats there are.
Yeah, so when you are exploring this, experimenting, a few. Also, that's not the gravity I wanted. So there is a restore button here. So you simply press it and then it will reset the default values here. So for the gravity. So don't worry about if you messed anything up. So there's a rescue button here. Any other questions? Okay. Thanks for your questions. So if anyone else, if you don't have,
there are more coming. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you add Lego bricks and models to okay, yeah. So for the Lego models, I know for the WL mats and the FL mats, you see that there are Lego models sitting on these mats, right? So just let you know, you can import it. So in the advanced view, so there's the import button, but this button is designed to import a robot. Just keep in mind it's designed to import a robot, not a Lego model, but it can import a Lego model. So what's gonna happen is if you're gonna import it, right, and then that model gonna show up, you can drag it and place it on the mat, but we cannot promise that Lego model imported you can see all the textures, it looks as it is, but it will not have the right mask probably. And also the colliders will not, not piece will have all the colliders. Some piece may don't have the colliders. Just give you an idea what is a collider. If I, collider is our software is built on the Unity engine. So collider is another, like a physics term they use for their Unity engine. So just give you an idea what's gonna look like. So I'm gonna remove, so this is the default wall, right? So let's find it. Okay, this one. Let's say I'm gonna remove the collider. Okay, let's drag the robot here. Just give you an idea. So right now, the robot is facing, let's find that wall. So it's wall 3, right? So if I turn the simulator and move and drive the robot to wall, the robot cannot go through, just stop where it is, like right in front of the wall, right? And then let's remove the collider. So wall 3, right click, remove. Let me remove the collider. What's happened is, see? That's what it happens. So that's what I'm saying. When you import your own Lego model inside, there's a chance that there are certain parts doesn't have a collider, and then you will have this issue. That robot can go through that Lego model. So so that's the reason why we have an internal tool. So that's another tool that we use to build all these maps, make sure all the maps and all the physics properties and everything are there. So yes, you can try it, but may not work as well as expected.
Yeah, and we do not have any capacity right now to add them to the randomization manager or the mission manager. That's something that we have to do for the WRO mats.
Yeah, for the WRO mat. So for the randomization manager, so we have an internal tool to that, and for the especially for this years or the complicated one, so we have to write in code, as a feature. So in that way, you can add it. And the mission manager we created for the FL map, but you guys don't have access to it. Sorry about that. Any other questions?
Yeah, and just to quickly mention one thing that just before you do that question, Ruby, just one quick thing. So when your best bet when you are creating a mat or wanting to create a mat in VRT by yourself, your best bet is to choose a mat that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Priyanka, I guess you get muted. But anyway.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So what I was saying was, did you hear anything, or should I repeat the whole thing?
I think only the front part, and then you get muted.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so what I was saying was that when you are creating a mat in VRT by yourself, your best bet is to choose a mat that has a bottom texture, like the floor has a texture, and maybe like few static models that you can import. But if you're trying to like create something as fancy as FLL, I would suggest not to do it yourself. Otherwise, it's just going to end up in making you frustrated, because that's something that requires a lot of work on our part. So mats like FLL, we create. Maths like WRO that requires really complex scoring, that's something that we create. But something like the Sandbox project, line following, maze, that's something that you can easily create in VRT by yourself without our help.
Yeah, so if you want the models, right, sometime I can show you where the ball it is. Like we do have, see, this is the, something that you can use. So this is just the soccer ball we use for another soccer project. So it's in the library, a couple stuff. Would you guys mute yourself so that we can hear, like you guys can hear me clearly? So yeah, so this is the soccer ball we use, right? See? So that's another thing when you create a challenge, you put something off the table. So that's something you can use. And then these are a bunch of cubes, right? And then cube you can, let's say for a line follower, if you want an obstacle on the way, and then you can drag a pyramid here. Just shrink the size. It's a little bit too big, and just shrink the size. Or if you want the cubes, you can stack these cubes into a different shape. So it's up to you. But for the Lego models, you can try. But as I mentioned before, these properties may not work as expected. And then for the next question, are we going to be able to use VRT with the new Lego programming software? Yes, for all the Windows users, yes, you can use VRT with the new Lego programming software.
No.
No? So
So I think they mean by new Lego programming environment, they mean the EV3 classroom. We have not simulated EV3 classroom just yet. The plans are to simulate it, so you will be able to use it in the future. We'll keep you posted. It's in our pipeline, but I do not have a definite timeline for that yet. So in the absence of that, we have MakeCode for EV3 that has Blockly and JavaScript. So that is something that you can use right now in the absence of EV3 Classroom, because EV3 Classroom has Scratch, right? So Scratch is quite similar to Blockly. And we have a tutorial on our YouTube channel to how to use MakeCode, so you can follow it there.
Yeah, so what Priyanka meant is this. This is the MakeCode. And then you can use F8 and toggle between MakeCode and EV3 programming language. Okay, so for the next question, at the marks, yes, you can do it. Okay, so in the VRT, press F12 inside the access the advanced mode. Oh, this one here. So these are the markers. So if you choose one,
can I ask something?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. So it's a bit difficult to put our robots if somebody builds them up on a platform, or is it that easy? Because all the things that you were saying about importing, you never were sure if they would work, is it?
You mean I drag a robot from the library and add it and place it on top of the mat?
Yes, it's not from the library. It's something that we import. And we're not doing it. Until September, October, nobody's importing it from here. So no chance. But just to know, is it difficult to import and then have it working on it?
No, it depends on what kind of robot it is, right? So our simulator only supports the robot to a certain level. You can import your robot into VRT, or you can drag it from the library. So as I mentioned before, so in the library there are lots of robots. Let me drag one.
Okay. And if we, is there a problem if we do it from one from I don't know, from Lego Digital Zen, or we do it from Studio 2.0?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay, that's fine. Okay, wonderful.
So it doesn't matter which tool you use to build your robot. As long as you save it as an audio file, it's .ldr file, and then just make sure when you open that robot, you open it in LD view first, and you check in LD view first. You open it up. You will not have like another window. So let's say I have a robot here, right? So it's going to show up in LD view. So make sure all the pieces are there. If a piece is missing, patch LD. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get the point. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but okay, I will find out.
Yeah, we do have another, like I mentioned before, we do have another webinar available on our YouTube channel, which is hosted by Priyanka, and she did, in the webinar, she did import a robot into VRT. So why don't you check that out, because they're going to show you, and also we do
Thank you, very kind. Okay, wonderful. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we will be hosting another webinar on how to import more complex robots, but like not right now, maybe in the next few
No,
weeks.
no, it's fine. No, nobody's going to do it now, I think.
Yeah. Or if you find imported robot, it's quite, it's quite complex, and then you find it's not something I can do. Like I mentioned in the library, we do have a lot of robots here. So let me drag one. So this is the list of the resource for the last year's WL challenges, right? So it has these mats. So these are the WL mats, and then these are the robots. So basically, for one robot, one challenge, we have two robots. One is for the WL course, another is for the WL challenge. So let me choose one. You can just simply select it and drag it. And then it's going to show up. And then you can just drag it and place it on the mat.
How do you know that it's right down on the mat? It's not
Yeah,
up.
that's what I'm going to show you, right?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
So drag it. Make sure it's it's sitting right on top of the mat. But how do you know the exact position? Let's bring up the object properties window and then find its position. So this is the position, right? And then you turn the simulator on. Would you please mute yourself, and then thank you. So I just turn the simulator on. Now the robot is sitting right on top of the mat, right? And then you just copy this the number, the Y number, the Y value. And then stop simulation and select something else. Let's reselect this robot. And then copy the value just copied. Paste the value just copied. Control V. And then you get the number. And then hit enter. And start simulation again. See? It's right there. If the rotation is a little bit different, same way. Just copy, stop it, select something else, reset the robot rotation 0, 0, 0, right? So I just change rotation a little bit. Now, if you start the simulation again, the robot sits right there. And then how to drive it? Go to device, device controls, select the robot. And then there's the default keys you can use, and simply press default key. And since our robot has two hands, right? And then can use it. Okay, C, X and C to control the left and right hand, and save it, and start it, and drive it, turn it around. So just to give you an idea which keys I'm using. So if you look at the left corner here, so I use W key to drive it forwards, S key to drive it backwards, and A turning it right, D turning left, and X and C to control the two hands with the left hand and right hand. Okay, so that's the robot you can use. Okay. Next question here shows, Mark, I just show you guys when will the Python module be added? It's that's Priyanka, can you answer that question? I think it's also in our pipeline.
Yeah.
This depends on the customer. If we do have a lot of customer require that, probably we will prioritize that. But definitely that's in our pipeline right now.
Yeah, that's
okay.
exactly it.
Yeah. Do you mean okay, add scoring? I will not show you guys how to add scoring. Yes, you can add scoring in VRT, but that's a lot of stuff. I don't think we have time today, but just If you are interested, and then that's something you guys interested, just let us know, and then we're gonna have another webinar on how to add the scoring triggers, because that's a lot of stuff. If you look at here, environment, there's a scoring settings, right? And then these are you know, a lot of events you can add. We do have a scoreboard here where you can add a timer, you know. So this is the new score. You can change it, you know, its type, whether it's a number, that's a number for the score, or you can use a stopwatch and name it as a clock, right? So that's how you can create your own challenge using the scores. But that we're gonna leave it for another webinar. Okay, so we will require another webinar. Yes, we will require another webinar, and also we're gonna send out. We're not only gonna upload this webinar to our YouTube channel. I believe later on we're gonna send you guys a PowerPoint, so that has instruction on how to build your own math in VRT. Okay, the PowerPoint you already have. So how to add scoring? Yeah, like I said, we will leave it for another webinar. Okay, anything else? Any guys, if you have any questions, so it's time because it's already 11:08. Okay, so just let you know, if you have any questions later on when you are working on your own math, please feel free to shoot us an email. If you are struggling with these issues, you know, let us know that you need help. So the email you can use, you know, is support, you know, send us an email to support@cognition.com. Remember that we love to hear you guys, and all your feedback is valuable to us. So if you don't have any question, I think that's pretty much everything. Thank you guys again for joining us today, and hope you all stay safe and healthy through these unusual times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.